you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you could possibly imagine.
All right, we have some big changes coming to the Splinterlands ranked play that we've got to go over. They talked about this on the latest town hall, but now we have a brand new post hot off the press that's got some more details in it. This is going to go live Thursday. The first big part's gonna go live on Thursday, and then they talk about some future updates that'll come shortly behind that as well. But a lot of people have been complaining about the rank system, and for good reason. So this is really trying to do, they talk about 3 key things here. The first is to simplify the system, to make it easier. It says easier to navigate and easier to identify and address issues. I think we've clearly identified some issues already as far as things that have been wrong. So I don't know if it's gonna help identify things better, but having a simpler system is always better. No doubt about that. Ensure it's always in the player's best interest to get more higher level cards and to achieve higher ratings. This is something I've complained about for years, and this is the biggest piece for me that I am very happy about. And we'll go into that more as we get down to it. And then create a proper rating system that accurately reflects a player's likelihood of winning a match and therefore makes matchmaking more fair. And I think it'll do that a little bit. I think it's not quite all there yet, but again, let's kind of go into it. All right, the first big thing is they are going to remove league limits. This is in ranked play. This does not apply to tournaments and brawls, but now being in Bronze League really doesn't mean anything as far as like card levels, card level penalties, things like that. If you are in Bronze League and you have a max level deck, you can still use your max level deck. And kind of the reasoning that you couldn't do that in the past was, okay, you don't want people to come in and get max level cards and just stomp all over people in Bronze League. And basically what they're saying is there's no need for that, because yeah, you can do that, but then you're going to quickly move up and you won't be stomping on Bronze League players anymore, because you're going to move up the leagues. As long as you have any skill whatsoever, you're going to move up. So leagues don't matter. There's no longer going to be any leaderboards for the league, and you are going to automatically get promoted to the next league. Splinterlands has spent a lot of time, they've done a lot of updates trying to give more incentives for people to move up and not camp at Bronze League, camp at the top of Bronze League, camp at the top of Silver League, whatever the case is. And now they've said, okay, forget trying to incentivize you to move up. We're going to force you to move up. You don't have a choice. You automatically move up to the next league. There's no leaderboards to play for anymore, other than the top leaderboards, other than champion. It is going to force you up. And matchmaking isn't just within the league as well, because again, the leagues don't necessarily mean anything. It's going to just be by ratings. So that's going to open the matchmaking up a little bit. And the SPS reward pool is no longer divided by league. This is something that we've had problems with, and I'm surprised it's kind of taken them this long to address it. Just getting rid of it is, I guess, one way to address it. Because let's go over here real quick. Like look at the current leagues pools here. This is as I'm making the video right now. Like some of the problems we've had. Look at Silver League. You get more SPS for winning a battle in Silver League than you do in Gold League, at the bottom of Gold 3. And it essentially takes less SPS and staked SPS in some cases, depending on exactly where you're at and the rating. So if you would move up immediately, you would actually earn less, and that definitely wasn't a good feeling. You can see it's at bronze too, in both cases. People would camp at the top of bronze because you earn more, and you could do cheaper refreshes, and you had just the bronze level limits. You didn't have to play against the Silver League limits. Why get silver cards and try to move up to silver if you can just keep your bronze cards, spend less on your deck, and actually get more SPS? Now, it wasn't always that straightforward, but now you're not going to have that, because it's not divided up. It's just divided wild pool, modern pool. And this is going to drastically change the SPS earnings. I don't know how it's going to fit, but you're going to see a lot of rating inflation for this, and especially up at the top. I think they talk about it's down. We'll get to that when we get to the flat rating system. We'll talk about that. But essentially, they are now opening it up, and this honestly isn't my preferred path, but this works more like a a traditional game. And if you view it as, okay, bronze is for the weaker players, then you move up to silver. I personally was an advocate of treating them more like casino tables, where you have bronze is your low limit and champion is your high stakes, and completely separating them out. So one of the problems that we had was that, okay, if you were, let's say you were a gold league player, but you dropped down to silver league to start the season. Trying to get past those silver leaderboard players that had max level silver cards, or whatever the case was, could be very challenging. And you might have gold level cards, but you couldn't beat the silver level leaderboard players because they were used to Silver League. They had cards that were designed for their Silver League, and it could be a challenge to actually push past them, even get back up in your league. I just thought they should have made it so, okay, you can go choose which league you play in. You want to play in Gold League, you start at the bottom of Gold and expand it, and you can go immediately jump into Gold, and then players could just play in Gold, and you could have like 0 to 4,300 rating in Gold, or that type of thing. I would have preferred that path, but this is going to still fix a lot of these solutions. Even though it's maybe not the path that I wish they had taken, I feel like this is overall definitely a better system. The other big change, another big change, they did away with ELO. You now gain 20 rating points for every win, doubled if it's a win streak. You lose 20 rating for every loss. It does not matter the rating of your opponent. And this has been one of the biggest complaints that we've seen, because we all know that the rating system, the plus minus rating system, didn't really accurately reflect your odds of winning. And they talk about it here. It says, while ELO works very well for completely skill-based games like chess, it does not work well for games like Splinterlands, which have a significant luck component. And this is definitely true, because you would see, especially up at the top, you would see that, okay, in order to break even with this game, a player might have to have an 85% win chance or something like that. And with the amount of RNG, that just was very unlikely. So it was better if you were a lower rated player going against a higher rated player. That even if you didn't win most of your games, the positive rating gain you would get was great. So to fix this, they've gone to a flat rating system of just plus 20, minus 20. And I feel like it kind of overshoots things, because yes, while it's not completely skill based, there's still some skill base. So I think they needed to tune it down a little bit, but now it's gonna feel bad when you're a low rated player going up against a higher rated player, especially if we don't have a bunch of match liquidity, and then you're still losing 20 for that. So I don't know. I wish they kept some impact for rating, but just scaled it down significantly from what they have. I've been asking for this forever. Even back when I was community manager, I was trying to get them to, like, we've got the battle data, run and look at a 3,000 rating player. Okay, what's the average win percent of a 3,000 rated player against a 3,100 player, against a 3,200 player, against a 2,900 player, 2,800 player, and kind of even graph it out and say, okay, these are the expected win percentages. Now let's adjust the ELO so that it factors in. It's based on those winning percentages instead. So I don't know what to think of this. A lot of people are going to like it, that they don't have that. I gain plus 3 rating, or plus. I win 80% of my battles and I lose rating. I know that can be a very bad feeling. You're not going to have that anymore. But I feel like we might be going too far the other way. And because of this, you're going to see a lot of rating inflation. So I kind of started to talk about earlier. In Champion, it's going to cap out at 5,000 as far as calculating reward shares. And this is a big jump. Right now, most people hit a block at around 4,300. If we go over here, let's go over to... Like right now, that just so happens to by chance be exactly where I'm at right now, 4,300, because once you're over that 4,300 soft cap, you don't gain as much. There's no minimum rating gain. There's no win streak gain. It gets very, very hard to climb. So that's kind of where you see most people sit. If we go to the leaderboard, you'll see, so I'm 56. There's a few people that push above there, but most of the people, you'll see a large grouping around, like within 40 rating points of 4,300 or so. And as we get close to the end of the season, you're gonna see more and more group into that area. That's kind of where people end up. Now you're gonna be able to climb to and even above 5,000. And because the R shares will actually, I mean, it's not a fixed scale. You actually cube your rating to calculate your R shares. So this will be a 50% increase in R shares for those who are at the top at Champion League, who are now getting to 5,000. So you're going to see a significant increase there. And because we have a fixed pool now, that's going to decrease the earnings in Bronze, Silver League, those lower leagues. But people will also be able to climb higher as well. So you're going to see everybody climbing higher. I don't know how this is going to settle. This is going to be very interesting to watch. I feel like I'm going to go back to complaining about rating inflation again, but we'll see, and adjustments could possibly be made. I still think we should have Splinterlands run bots to help control the rating inflation, but that's a whole nother video. Updated energy costs, league ratings, resets. So now they're adjusting it basically so they're multiples of 20. Energy cost is going to be a little bit different. It's not just bronze is 1, now it's bronze 3 is 2, bronze 2 is 5. It scales based on your more specific league. Like gold 3 is different than gold 1 until you get up to champ, and that's all 500. You can also now use vouchers at a rate of 100 DEC per voucher. That's pretty significant. That's valuing vouchers about 3 times what they're worth. I think they climbed up to about 4 cents recently, but 2 to 3 times what they're currently worth. So voucher demand, we now have a voucher sink there. I think that's going to be good. Less DEC burned, but more vouchers burns. Some people are just like, screw vouchers, I'd rather burn DEC. I don't know, it's all burning something. Does it really matter which one? As a no license holder, I'm very much pro burn vouchers. But we will see. I think we're going to see more people refreshing energy, more battles played because of this. And we'll see. And the other big change is Novice. Novice no longer starts at 100, it starts at 260. So you now have to play more battles in Novice before you can climb up. And I think that is a good thing as well. Once people start earning in Bronze, they'll be earning a little more, bit more there. So they're going to see more initial earnings once you get up there. We'll see. I think you're going to see a lot of people climbing higher in Bronze. So I think Bronze is about to get a lot easier. Bronze is not going to be the terrible grind that it has been. It still might be bad, but future changes. The other big one that I want to talk about. So I mean, they talked about on the town hall about one-click rentals for new players, a bunch of new things to help onboard new players, which is good. But the other big thing that I got to make sure I get in here. Ranked, so they're going to get rid of the current loot chest system, and instead they're going to have a shop, so that these reward points that you get, like it starts out okay at Bronze, you get the 17 reward points per win. It goes up to like 80, 100,000 as you get in the champion. Those reward points are now you're going to have a shop where you can go and buy chests in the shop that maybe, or buy potions in the shop. No longer do you have to just open a random chest and, oh, I got a bunch of potions. Now you can go buy exactly the amount of potions that you need. The other ones, you can get chests that have only cards in them. I think that's going to be a huge change, and I'm very, very excited about that one. They said they're going to start, that's what they're working on immediately after they get this out. So it should be here fairly soon. I don't know, is this going to be a good thing for the game or bad? Overall, I think this is a very good thing. Again, it doesn't have everything that I specifically like. There are definitely some tweaks I'd like to see, but we'll see if they might even go back and make them. What they talk about here is that they wanted to simplify the system and get people to get the matchmaking to spread, or players to spread out a little bit. Instead of just accumulating on you got all these leaderboard players that sit in Bronze and Silver and Gold, and they just kind of camp there. And that distorts everything, because then you have, like, a lot of times your Silver 1 league was actually harder than your Gold 3 league. And same thing, like bronze 1 was tougher than silver 3, and it made climbing up a little weird, and made the motivation to go out and get new cards and things was sometimes kind of odd. By eliminating all of that, by simplifying it, they can really, at least after a few seasons, it might take a couple of seasons to settle in here. But once we kind of settle in, you can see where everybody's lining up, and you can see, okay, there's too much rating inflation. Like I said, I think that might be a problem, but they can look at that and say, okay, we need to make these adjustments. How can we counter this rating inflation, or what can we do here? I said I feel like the +20, -20 is like it needs to take into some account the actual rating, and maybe once they get the data and see the numbers, they'll say, okay, yeah, we need to account for it a little bit, and maybe we'll make some changes. I don't know, but they can get better data to look at by simplifying the system, and then make changes from there. So as long as they're taking in that data and analyzing those and making those changes, I think we'll get to something a little bit better. The big loser in all of this is the leaderboard players. And I do kind of have mixed feelings about that, because overall I feel like the leaderboard player, and I say leaderboard players, I'm talking about everywhere besides champion. I feel like overall those leaderboard players did hurt the game experience for everybody else. Like I'm not trying to pick on you guys, I'm sorry, but I feel like it did hurt the game experience for everybody else. So getting rid of those is going to be good overall for the game. But overall the Splinterlands doesn't necessarily have a huge community of dedicated players. A lot of those leaderboard players were some of your most hardcore dedicated players, and they can still play in tournaments. Like, you're still gonna have Silver League tournaments that use Silver League cards and that type of thing. So hopefully there'll still be that niche there for those players. But I do worry that this might drive some of our most fanatical players out of the game, if I had to say that was a concern about removing leaderboards. I don't know. It gets rid of some of that DEC inflation. That was the last little bit of DEC inflation, was the, well, other than when you burn SPS for it or burn cards for it. As far as just direct rewards, was leaderboard rewards. So now you're only gonna have that for Champ League. So that will cut some DEC inflation, but overall it was such a small amount, I don't think it really matters that much. But that'll be interesting. I'm very curious to see what happens, how players spread out, and I'm excited for change. Change is needed. We're gonna see change. I'm excited to see how it shapes out. I'm really excited for the next update though, when we get that reward shop, and I think that can be a much better experience, depending on what all they put in the shop and how they price those and everything like that. But if they do it well, that has a lot of potential. So that's probably what I'm most excited. So what do you guys think? Like the changes? Don't like the changes? What's your favorite ones? Get out the pitchforks, I'm leaving the game. Which camp are you in? Let me know in the comments below. I'll see you guys on the battlefield.